Jeffrey Epstein was born in Brooklyn, New York, into a very regular working class family. At that time, nothing about his life suggested that he would be moving around billionaires, royalty, world leaders. He didn't come from money, he wasn't politically connected, and he didn't even finish the university degree that he started. One of his first big opportunities it came when he got a teaching job at a very prestigious private school in Manhattan. It was called the Dalton School. Many students from that in that school they came from extremely wealthy families, and this is believed to be where Epstein first met parents with serious money and influence. Now, through those connections, he found his way into finance and he eventually got a job at Bear Stearns. That's a major Wall Street investment bank. People were kind of surprised that he was hired because he didn't have the usual academic background that was needed, but he had learned how wealthy clients operated. After some time, he left and he started managing money privately for extremely rich clients. One name that comes up a lot during this period is billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner. Epstein became closely connected to him, and many people believe that relationship it helped to push Epstein deeper into elite social circles, like a bigger lifestyle. A billionaire trusted him now. After that, his money and his lifestyle they just kept growing. He owned one of the largest private homes in New York City. He had luxury properties in Palm Beach, New Mexico, Paris, a private island in the Caribbean. He traveled on private jets. He mixed easily with the richest people in the world. Now, from the outside, people struggled to describe exactly what he did. He wasn't quite a banker, not really a celebrity. He was just somebody who seemed to move quietly between powerful circles. Around this time, another important person entered the picture, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell was a British socialite who was already well known in elite circles in the UK before she later moved to New York. She was the daughter of Robert Maxwell, a powerful media businessman. Now, people often said that she was very close to her father. He even named his yacht after her, Lady Ghislaine. Her father's story ended mysteriously after he disappeared from that yacht, and then he was later found dead in the sea. Not long after his death, investigators uncovered massive financial fraud inside his companies, including money taken from employee pension funds. That scandal, it destroyed his reputation and wiped out the family's fortune almost overnight. Even with all that, very powerful people attended his funeral in Israel. Israel's prime minister at that time, Yitzhak Shamir, he gave a speech praising him and he said he had done more for Israel than can today be said. That surprised people. What do you mean? It led people to start spreading rumors about whether Robert Maxwell was a spy. It was never proven, but people started to think he had something to do with intelligence agencies. After her father's empire collapsed, Ghislaine moved to New York where she met Jeffrey Epstein. After that, the two of them started appearing everywhere in wealthy social circles. Epstein already had financial connections, but Maxwell helped to expand his access, especially among British and European elites. Okay, so now we know who they were. So when did things first start going bad? In 2005, a parent in Palm Beach, Florida reported to the police that her teenage daughter had gone to Epstein's house to give a massage to a rich man, but the situation turned inappropriate quickly and sexual. When the police looked into this case deeper, more girls came forward with similar stories. Many of them were high school students from nearby public schools. Even though Epstein lived in one of the richest areas of Palm Beach, not everybody nearby was wealthy. Some of these girls came from ordinary homes or financially struggling families, and the money that was being offered to them, it felt significant. Several said that they were paid cash for massages and that it turned sexual. Many accused Epstein of sexually assaulting them. Some said Ghislaine had helped to recruit them and had also taken part in the sex. Some girls said that they were encouraged to bring their friends, which turned this situation into some sort of trafficking ring, among teenage social circles. For most people, accusations this serious would lead straight to major criminal trial. But Epstein is not most people. In 2008, he accepted a controversial plea deal with federal prosecutors. He avoided federal charges and he served a short jail sentence with very unusual privileges. He could leave the jail in the daytime and only come back to sleep. That deal shocked people, especially because the victims were not fully informed. After that, the case slowly faded from headlines. Epstein returned to private life, and for a while, it looked like the story was over. But for the victims, it wasn't over. Some continued to speak out. They filed civil suits. They kept pushing for accountability. All this time, Epstein was just moving freely, growing in wealth, growing in, connections. More than 10 years later, the story exploded back into public attention. In 2018, investigative journalists they published reports showing how the plea deal had been negotiated, how the victims had been left out of the process. Public anger grew quickly. One of the people who helped to bring renewed attention to the case was Virginia Giuffre. Now, Virginia said that she met Ghislaine Maxwell as a teenager while she was working at a luxury private resort in Florida called the Mar-a-Lago, a place that is owned by Donald Trump, where very wealthy, very powerful people often visit. According to her account, Maxwell approached her and offered her work, giving massages to Jeffrey Epstein. She said that she believed it was legitimate, normal massage work at first. She later alleged that the situation turned sexual and abusive. Virginia also said that she traveled with Epstein and Maxwell to different places, including flights on Epstein's private planes, and this later became very important in the investigations and lawsuits connected to the case. She accused Epstein of abuse, and she said that she had been trafficked to powerful men connected to him. One of the most well-known names she accused was Britain's Prince Andrew. He immediately denied the allegations. Then a photograph later resurfaced. It was showing Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre standing together, and Ghislaine was also in the photo. That image spread everywhere, and at that time of the photo, Virginia was 17 years old. In an interview, Prince Andrew tried to defend himself. Virginia Giuffre, she had said that during one encounter with him, he was sweating heavily while dancing with her. Andrew responded by saying that he could not sweat, that he had a medical condition where he could not sweat. This was in a bid to defend himself. Many viewers found that explanation strange, especially when there were pictures online of him sweating in everyday life. In 2022, Prince Andrew reached an out-of-court settlement with Virginia. He paid a big financial settlement, but he made no admission of guilt, and that case never went to trial. After the backlash, he stepped away from royal duties. He lost several official roles, Then everything escalated again. In July of 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested after returning to the US. This time, the charges were federal and they involved sex trafficking of minors. Federal agents, they searched his Manhattan home, and people around the world expected a trial that might reveal everything, That trial never happened. In August of 2019, Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. Authorities ruled it a suicide, saying that he had used his bedsheet to hang himself. Reports later showed that there were serious failures inside that jail. The guards had missed required checks. Some cameras were not working. Somebody was sleeping. Because he died before trial, many people believed that key answers would never come out in court. Some people even believed that some powerful figures might have wanted to silence him because of what he knew. Others believed that he had faked his death. There was no evidence proving all of this, but they spread widely because that trial did not happen. Another major part of the story involved Epstein's private island, Little St. James. He flew guests there on private planes, right? Flight logs later showed many well-known people had traveled with him over the years, okay? Victims said that girls were also flown to the island and described abuse taking place there all the time. At the same time, some visitors that went there said that they went for meetings or social visits. They said that they did not commit any crimes. Now, flight logs can show who traveled, but they cannot explain what happened during those trips, okay? So that uncertainty is what is causing a lot of chaos online. Who did what? Investigators later found that some of Epstein's homes had extensive surveillance cameras. And because of this, many people started wondering if maybe visitors were being secretly recorded and whether those recordings were being used for blackmail. Some online theories even claim that blackmail might be how Epstein became so wealthy and so powerful. There's never been a court ruling proving any of that, but the idea became one of the biggest theories surrounding this case. For months, nobody seemed to know where Ghislaine Maxwell was. She disappeared from public view. She avoided interviews. She stayed completely out of sight while investigations continued. When the authorities finally found her in 2020, she was living in a secluded mansion in New Hampshire, far away from the social world that she had once moved in. She was arrested by the FBI. Prosecutors said that she had played a central role in recruiting and grooming victims for Epstein, Then in 2021, she went to trial. A jury found her guilty of charges connected to trafficking minors. She was later sentenced to 20 years in prison. And that brings us to what people call the Epstein Files. The Epstein Files are not a single document, okay? When people use that phrase, the Epstein Files, they're usually talking about thousands of pages of court records, thousands of testimonies, flight logs, photographs, emails, investigation materials, connected to the case. Many of these documents have been released gradually through court orders and investigations involving the US Department of Justice. As more material became public, people rushed online to search for familiar names. Many victims said that Epstein's network involved powerful people across politics, business, entertainment, royalty, all from all around the world. Some allegations reached the level of presidents, prime ministers, but a name appearing in documents or in a testimony or in an email, it doesn't automatically mean a crime was proven. But crimes happened. So who committed what? That's the problem here. We don't know. As the files spread online, anybody who had ever been photographed with Epstein came under intense scrutiny. Old pictures resurfaced everywhere, videos, online discussions. People started treating pictures as evidence. They knew Epstein. They were friends with Epstein, so they must have committed these crimes. This case, it still feels unfinished to many people because the main suspect died before trial and he left so many questions without courtroom answers. The story also remains painful for survivors. Virginia Giuffre, she later died in an accident which sparked lots of conversations online. Some people claim that she had been silenced. The powerful people have silenced her. There's no evidence of that. More survivors have continued coming forward, sharing difficult stories, naming people that they say were connected to Epstein's world. So when you hear people talking about the Epstein files, this is what they mean. Not one secret list, but a complicated collection of records connected to power, to wealth, allegations, and unanswered questions. And if you decide to go down the Epstein files rabbit hole, right, by yourself, just be warned, it gets very dark very quickly. The deeper you go, the more disturbing the details become. What I've given you here is the lighter, easier to digest version. Just enough to help you understand the conversation going on without going into the most painful details. Because the details go into sacrifice, babies, children, women, men, boys, kids, kidnapping, traffic. It is endless. There's even some cannibalism in there. None of them have been proven. And now, at least, you know the story behind the chaos. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy stories like this, please don't forget to follow me. I tell these stories all the time on all my social media. I'm going to put all my social media up. Please follow me. Thank you so much.